Hey everyone, Dahlia from the Handmade Mastermind here. So today I want to talk to you about this really fantastic tool that I use, and it's really great for bulk editing your listings. As you can imagine, you probably have some ideas already of how you could use a bulk editor for your Etsy listings, and I want to go through it with you, okay? So if you look at my screen here, I am on getvela.com. This is the tool name. It's called Get Vela, and I absolutely love it. And I want to create this video to show you particularly 3 different ways you could use it, okay? And all you have to do is sign up for a free account, okay? It's completely free, and I'm just gonna sign into mine just to get started. Okay, so I'm already about to log in here. Okay, so before we get into the 3 different ways you could use it, I am going to first point out that what I really love about this, which I don't find in a lot of tools that we use for Etsy, is that you could actually have multiple Etsy shops logged into one. So you don't have to have different logins. You literally could have 3 different shops and access it into one account. So if you take a look up here, when I click on here, I have 2 different shops here. I actually have 3 different shops, but this is just an example. So I'm going to go to my example shop just to show you some things so I don't, change around anything I'm currently doing. Okay, so that's the first thing I love. You could actually add a shop by going here. It'll ask for some of your credentials for your Etsy shop, and then that's it. It'll be linked up. Okay, and of course you could toggle between a shop or 2, it doesn't matter. So right now I'm having my example shop up, and in this case my example shop has stationery, similar to my regular shop anyway. So in Get Vela, you could change quite a few things. You could change your photos, bulk edit descriptions, variations. That's really popular. It's a recent added feature. And a few more things, titles, tags, I mean, you name it. And we're going to go through them right now. But the 3 different ways I want to talk about is, first one, how do you use Get Vela, bulk editing program to set up a sale successfully. As you can imagine, when you set up a sale, a lot of things have to change on a certain date, and then when the sale ends, everything has to change back, right? You can imagine that an announcement has to change, possibly in your descriptions, even if you want to add a picture or change the first picture to show the sale, your pricing may change as well, etc. And you want to be able to do successfully if you have a lot of products, as well as when the sale ends, change it back. So we're going to go through the scenario of setting up a sale first, okay? So in my example shop, I have a few products, okay? So what you're going to do is, if you look over here to the right, it may be light on the screen, but you have these little check boxes, you see? So you're going to click the products you want to play around with. I'm going to go ahead and click these 4 right here. And when you click on them, what appears on the top left-hand corner is the edit for listings, okay? So first you pick the listings you want to edit in any kind of scenario. So then I click the edit for listings. Now these 4 listings will appear. However, you have to tell the system what you want to edit. And of course, over to your left-hand side, you will see title, description, category, photos, price, quantity, variation, tags, materials, section, recipient, occasion, and style. Okay, we're going to go through all these, but I'm going to focus in on a few of them for this example of setting up a sale. So, and of course, this will vary between seller to seller. You may want to do some of these, you may want to do all of these, or just pick a few when you actually set up your own sale. But for the title, what you may want to do is add to the beginning of the title that you actually have a sale going on, okay? So if you go here and you click on, let's say, add, I'm going to add before. I'm going to add before the title, okay? Because I want to make sure that when people search for something, they'll see the percentage off or the word sale in the beginning of the title. Okay, so simply I'm going to act like I'm running a 20% off sale. I'm going to write 20% off sale. And it looks like by accident I took off the first 2, so I'm going to check them back. And when I check them back, if you see here, the 20% off sale has been added. Okay, now just remember, look how it sticks next to your other keywords. Add a space and it'll separate the space. In my opinion, I think you should do the word sale in caps lock so it's really noticeable, okay? And you could even write limited time or however you want to execute your sale. But this is just an example. Putting it in the beginning of a title is really important because, again, when people see it in search, you know that they'll see the photo and they'll see the beginning part of the title. The first, they'll say a few words. So you want to put it in the beginning, okay? And again, this is temporary, so you could change it back later. So I've added it, and now that I've added it, I want to hit the word apply. Do you see the word apply here? So I just did it. I added the apply. It has applied it to the items. Hold on a second. Did it apply it to the other ones? Let's take a look. I'm going to remove this one because it looks like it applied it to that. I'm going to do 20% off sale space. I'm going to hit the word apply. For some reason it doesn't want to apply. Let me hit sync and see what happens. Now it's syncing with Etsy. Sending to Etsy. Let's see. Got it. I am going to see why it did not add to the beginning. 20% off sale. Oh, it's because the characters are over a limit. That's why. So I'm glad I went through this with you because I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't it going through? This is really good to see that some of them may not go through. So if you're editing, let's say 100, let's just say 200, at a glance, you could only see X amount on your screen. So you have to scroll down to make sure you don't get this little red error sign, in which in my case, there was one. But what you would want to do in that case is, let me delete this. I could go into those after the fact, the ones that were too close to call, right? That went over characters, and then just edit them individually. So deleting, something, and then go back in the beginning manually putting in the sale, or editing each one, taking away a certain amount of characters, the ones that it said that I have to take away, and then of course adding it in bulk if you wanted to. Again, hit apply and hit sync, okay? So that is one way with a sale you could use the title portion, okay, to edit, bulk edit. Now let's go to the description. All right, so in the description, in my opinion, you could have different ways to do it. In my opinion, the best thing to do when you're running a sale is let people know you have a sale, right? Just like we did in the title. If you have a following, that's great. You could email your following, post it on social media. They'll already know. They'll expect it. They'll come to your shop. However, if you're relying on the traffic you're getting because of SEO or just organic traffic, people coming to your store, you want them to know you're having a sale because it'll help conversion rates. And so in your description, the best place to put it, as you may have guessed it, is in the beginning of your description. So in this case, I'm going to click on add before, which is already done. Okay. So essentially I'm just going to put, I guess I'm going to click them all. Yeah, I'm going to click them all. Okay. So I'm going to add something like, let's see. 20%. Remember, it's always good to start out with the benefit for the customer. Don't put a whole bunch of words and not get straight to the point. So for me, straight to the point is 20% off sale now until, and the date you want to run it until. So I'm going to put it in caps lock so you could obviously see it. 20% sale now until, let's just say today's the 11th. So January, or actually, I'm going to put let's say 15, 17. Okay. And it's for me, I'm going to put it just like that. Simple as that. I want the message to be clear, concise, and easy to read. So, you could even put something along with that saying, prices reflect, 20% off, sale. So they could already know that it's already taken care of for them. Discount already applied, or however you want to do it. Okay, so as you can see, the listings are changing here. If you look down here, it's written in green. And again, you have to press enter and enter again just to separate it. and you can see your regular descriptions already there. Okay, so now that I have it and I like what it says, I like how it looks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And then I'm going to go ahead and remember, sync it. You always want to apply it and then sync it. You're not going to run into, from my understanding, any errors really with applying it to your descriptions, because you don't have a limited number of characters to add to your descriptions, like we ran into that issue when it came to the title, right? So you should be fine all across the board. If you scroll down, make sure each one of those, things are checked off, which they are. Hit sync, and now it's going to go straight to your Etsy. Now, from my understanding, it usually is pretty much immediate. You'll see the results immediately on Etsy. It'll sync immediately. However, if there is something going on with the system or what have you, you may find that it might take up to 15 minutes, just FYI, okay? So don't worry if you don't see the results immediately. It could just depend on the system. So now, in the event of a sale, I would not change the category. In my opinion, you might find you may need to, but I doubt it. However, let's go to photos. I think that I have a few examples of photos that you could bulk edit and add to your listings when you are running a sale. I'm going to actually give you 2 examples. One is, this is a little bit more detailed, but changing the first photo. Now remember, when somebody's searching for personalized stationery, they are looking at the photo and part of the title. Remember, we already changed part of the title. We put 20% off in the beginning of it, right? So that's great. Remember, if you're trying to run a successful sale, the more people that know about it, the better. The more people that you convert that look at your item, the better, right? So you should not be sales shy. You should not be trying to say, oh, I'm gonna only put it in the description and that's it. No, if you have this really fantastic bulk editing tool, go ahead and get your word out, right? Again, really, really great if you don't have a following, right? Because then you could just rely on people that are actually just searching for your items. So the first picture, and of course you'll have to edit your picture before you get into Get Vela, and maybe put a graphic on there that will allow people to see that you have a sale that you're running. So here's my recommendation. First, I would go to, I'm gonna type it here for you, canva.com. You could easily create your own graphic, which in really what that means is you put your own photo up there, which is obviously your product photo, each one of them, okay? And then you will go ahead and add a graphic with Canva. They have some really great templates for you. You add it right on your item. Don't obviously cover a big portion of your item. Putting it to the top right-hand corner is, in my opinion, ideal. Okay, sorry, top left-hand corner or top right. It's really up to you. Putting a bar on top. And think about it like this. It should not be too small where people can't read it, and you can always test it. Go ahead and put that photo up. Find your item in search results and say, is that big enough on mobile, right? And on computer screen, if somebody could read the percentage off. So my recommendation is make sure it's big enough. My other recommendation is make sure that's in a color that is completely contrasting to your photo. If your photo is full of muted colors, which is fine, it could be your branding, you want to put a bright red. Red is usually a great way to go because it represents sale. Everywhere. When you go to stores, everywhere, red is sale, okay? So having it with red text or a red background, maybe like a circle, and then white text, and so they could see a big red thing in there that shows a sale. Another thing you could do, okay, and you could do it throughout your sale depending how long you run it, is tell them within that graphic how long you're running the sale. So for example, you'll have an item that, let's say, stationery, and a big graphic that says 20% off now until December 30th, or however you're running the sale for. Done. You create those graphics, you save them on Canva, you go back to Get Vela, right, when you're trying to run the sale, and now you're here to add the photo, right? So you're going to go ahead and click this button add, and then you could find your photo. However, be careful as to where you want to add it. You could add, replace, etc. I'm going to go ahead and just add it, and what it's going to do is actually add it to the end of your photos. Okay, so let me just show you what that looks like. I'm going to just find a photo that could be relevant for the moment. Let's see, I'm going to go to collateral. I'm actually, in this case, I'm not going to add a sale photo. I don't have one. but I'm going to add, let's see here. I'm gonna tell them to sign up for my email list. It's a graphic that I currently have. Okay, so there it is. I added it here, and so it added it to the end of each one of my listings. Here's something you should note. If you currently have, let's just say, too many photos, you already have 5 photos, it will not add it to that listing. So you're gonna find that as you're going through, some won't have it. You have to delete one of those photos and then re-add it, okay? Another thing you should note is that if you want to change the first photo, you will have to move it around, okay? Let's see if I can move this around. You could replace. I wonder. Sorry. Let me make that clear. If you want to replace the first photo, you could go ahead and do that with the graphic idea that I gave you. So I'm going to replace the first one with, and I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to replace my main image, but you can replace it with that nice graphic that is still your item but has a little sale graphic on there, okay? Love the, by the way, I love this tool. Could you tell? I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I just thought about what I really wanted. So that's an idea. Next thing is you can still use the word add and add it to the end, right? Just in case you don't want to change your first photo, or you still want to change the first photo and the last photo, you can still add a general sale graphic, similar to what I just showed you, which is really just a little stock photo of a pretty desk and some text on it, okay? And that's that. So it'll add it to the last part, and that is it. Remember to hit apply, and then of course hit sync. Now here's another tip. I gave you some tips for the graphics, right? Making it in red, right? And make sure you put the limited time timeline on there. However, if you are going to change your first photo, if you don't have that first photo saved on your desktop, you can easily go to your Etsy shop, save those photos in a folder. It's really good to have in the future anyway. Make sure when you edit that photo, you save it as a copy. You want to have the original photo because in a minute, I'm going to show you how to end the sale, right? And you have to have the original photos there. You have to have a copy of the original photos. So then you could go back to replace and replace it. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So now we've done the photo part, which is replace our first photo with a nice sale one, right? And potentially, if you wanted to maybe not even change your first photo, add it to the end. I would suggest both, if not at least the first one. But if you're really a little shy about your sale, which you shouldn't be, add it to the last photo, okay? So that is just an example. Of course, when you're running a sale, price has to change. So look at the price area. You don't want to increase the price if you're running a sale. However, this is good for other things, which we'll talk about later. You want to decrease it, okay? Which is great. You could do it in a dollar form, or you could do it percentage. Most people, I think, will choose percentage, which is fantastic. You could do 20% off. Now, remember, when you go to Etsy, and you actually apply this, it will not show you previous $18 and now the new price. It won't show you that. It will just show you the price after the 20% off has been taken off, okay? So it's really important to make sure you change the photo to show people the price has been already reflected, okay? And even including in that graphic, you know, an $18 that's slashed off, and now your new pricing, could be really important, okay, guys? It's important that you're doing all these steps, and while this may seem overwhelming, if you plan it accordingly and plan previously to your sale and use this editing tool, you could really execute a successful sale. Okay, so you go ahead and decrease or increase the price. I'm going to go ahead and put it decrease by 20%. Okay, I just hit 20, it's on percentage. I'm gonna hit apply. You could even change the ending to 99 cents, okay? That is just an example of what you could do. And that will help with your sale, because if you do or don't know this, sometimes depending on your market, ending in 99 cents or etc., 97, whatever, could help with those sale shoppers, okay? Certain target customers. And remember, hit sync. I'm not going to hit sync on mine because obviously I don't want to change my pricing, but you get the point, right? You could also hit change to, and if all your pricing are the same, or if you want to run a flat out sale, which I doubt you would want to do, but if you have all prices that are $18 and you just know you want to change it directly to a certain price, such as 14 or whatever, you could literally type in the $14, hit apply, and then hit sync. Okay, again, I'm not going to hit sync in my case because I want to make sure that I keep my pricing the same. So let's go to quantity. You might not think this is important, but it is, because you want to make sure that when you're running a sale, you have enough quantity, right? If you are running a sale on one of a kind items, you don't have to change this. But if you're running a sale on items that you can continue to create that are made to order, please don't hesitate to make sure that you have this set at a decent quantity, okay? Much higher than you currently do. It's not going to hurt you, okay? You won't get charged by Etsy before you sell the items, okay? Also, if you're just relying on organic traffic for the sale, then great, you can set it at a decent quantity. But if you also have a following, okay, you want to make sure that you even set it even higher, because you're going to be telling people on Etsy you have a sale and telling your followers, email, social media, whatever, you have a sale. You don't want to run out, you know. And even if you did and you catch it later, how many sales could you have missed? You know, you don't know. So change your quantity. You could increase it by 100, so everything's going to be the amount it is plus 100, or just change it to one complete number, 150, 200, whatever you think is reasonable. Remember, you can't go too high because there's nothing really bad about doing a really high number, especially during a sale. Okay, now let's go to, let me cross out, let me keep editing. Hold on, let me get rid of this. Okay, I just wanted to close out the pricing. I'll go back to editing. Okay, so now let's go to variations, okay? This I'm really excited about because variations are so annoying to change when you're trying to change each one of them. So if your listings don't have just a straight price, you may have variations that have pricing. That's going to be tricky to change, but not with Get Vela, okay? So you simply want to go, hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. I had to pause the video just for a second just to check something out to make sure I don't mess up my current listings. So the variations is a little bit more tricky. So there's many different ways you could use it, but in a course of doing a sale for the items that you have prices on, I don't have prices on mine in my example, but I can still show you what you could do. There's two different ways you could do it. You may find you want to do one over the other. And just for the record, only the first variation could be changed as far as pricing. So remember, the second variation doesn't have an option for pricing, okay? So in order to begin, you could do one of two different ways. You could first change all the selected items that you selected to edit to give them new variations. Still, you might choose the same variations, but you have to kind of refresh it and give them new ones. So you would choose your category. And in mine, it's paper supplies, it's paper, it's stationery, and then note cards. Then I'm going to choose a property. So remember, when I did that, all these become blank. Do you see what happened? So now I'm like starting fresh. And by the way, nothing changed yet because I didn't sync anything yet. So don't worry. So right now I'm going to choose a property. Now, remember, these are in color envelope color, so they're not quite pricing related, but I'm assuming it is. I'm gonna just act like I do charge different prices for that. So let's see, I'm gonna write in color as you see here. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add options. I'm gonna add pink, this is just an example, yellow, and blue. But in your case, yours may be quantity or size difference that you're obviously doing pricing difference. So over here, now you've done pink, yellow, blue. This is like the master one, okay? Which is going to affect everything you've chosen down below. Then you could go ahead and add price. So my pink one used to be $10. Let's say now it's $8. The yellow one used to be, again, $10. Now it's $8. Oops. And then, of course, the blue one, let's just say same thing. Okay. Oh, I can't use the same pricing. Oops. Let's just change that. Obviously, that makes sense. Okay. So imagine the pricing has now went up. So now I've done that. If I have a second property, you can add it. It doesn't have to be pricing related. You can still add it. Then when you're done, you hit apply, which I've just did. It'll apply it to all the listings you've selected. And syncing is when you have now changed all your variations. Now, that is one way you could do it. okay? Which is probably the faster way, which is kind of technically redoing your variation and applying it to all. Now, the other way to do it is, now that you've selected edit, you don't have to go up here and choose your category. You could literally go down here and just start changing prices to this one, to this one, to this one, to this one. Doing it one at a time is a little bit more time consuming, right? But faster than using Etsy, because you have to go into each listing. This one you don't have to. This one's all like open the edit for you. I recommend doing it this way, the first way I showed you. Okay? And of course, hitting apply, hitting sync updates, which again, I won't choose because I don't want to change the pricing for ink color. Okay, so that is one way you could use variations for setting up a sale. Obviously, changing it to the sale price. Now, tags, which is an interesting one, okay, because you know I'm the SEO queen, so I don't want you changing anything crazy, but if you feel like there are tags in your items that don't necessarily work, that you just felt like was an afterthought, you know what those are, right? Then you're more than welcome to remove some and then add some tags, okay? Such as 20% off sale, etc. I personally don't recommend it. While people may be searching for sale items in Etsy, it is not necessary, I feel, to change a tag, especially when you know I care more about SEO in the moment, right? Because you want them to find you based on what your product is, not particularly based on a sale. Okay, while that is great, you already put it in your title, so, or if you didn't, it's fine. Remember, you could choose any one of these things I mentioned. You could choose all of these to run a sale. You could even choose, you know, a mixture of these, right? So anyway, so that is the way, the few different ways you could, you know, use Get Vela to set up a sale. Now I'm gonna quickly go over how to remove a sale, right? Before we get into the next tip of how to use Vela. So of course, when you get into your title, you want to remove the 20% off sale. So you're going to go ahead and say delete. Okay, you're going to delete an actual text. So if you do 20% sale space, it's literally, look what happened. Remember, I didn't change these because they were too tight in the characters. It's literally going to tell it, hey, are you telling the system that you want to remove that wording in your title? You say, yeah, I am. You hit apply, and I'm going to actually hit sync because I want to actually remove that from my titles. And of course, hit sync. Oops, my mouse is acting weird. Okay. So that is it. Okay. You have synced it. It's actually working its magic if you look down here. Okay. Done. You have removed the sale. And of course, you have to make sure you're executing this correctly. Know when your sale is supposed to end. You know, set a phone reminder so you know, okay, the morning the day expires. And of course, I'd rather you remove all the stuff not before the sale ends, it's after. So if your sale ends on the 25th at night, okay, midnight, let's just say, on the 26th in the morning, you may want to remove it. Don't wait until, you know, don't stay up until midnight to try to remove it. It's too much. You can remove it in the morning, okay? So now I fixed my title. Description, same thing. You want to delete your text that you wrote, and of course all the text will be the same. So again, you're going to write 20% off. Let me put caps lock. Sale now until, remember, it has to be the exact same text. Okay, enter prices. Oops, sorry. Prices reflect 20% off sale. Look what happened. Everything is crossed out. I even put enter so I could remove that space. I'm going to hit apply. Okay. And it's done. I'm going to hit sync because I actually want to remove that because I'm not actually running a sale. And then just give it a moment. If you look down here, it says syncing. Okay. And now it's done. So again, I'm continuing to remove the sale. I'm not going to change the category. I am going to remove my photos. Remember, we added photos to the beginning and to the end. Remember, hopefully you listened to my advice and you saved your original photo if you don't have that already. Okay. So what you want to do is go ahead and replace the first photo. However, you're not going to replace the first photo with every single, you're not going to replace it with one simple photo, right? So you don't want to do it in bulk in this case, okay? You want to do it one by one. So you can literally hit garbage, okay, and put in the new photos. You could add it, but you can't move it around, unfortunately. Okay, let's see if this works. Hold on. What is this? I could see the photo. Oh, that's cool. Okay. But if I garbage this, things will move down. So you may have to re-add your photos, okay? Replacing your first one, I don't think will move anything over, okay? So let me see. Yeah. So you will have to add them back in if you remove the first photo. Let me see something. No, I'm not going to do that. Delete. Interesting. You could actually delete the first one. Let me do it and see what happens. And it moves everything over. Okay, interesting. So as far as replacing your photos, you'll have to go one by one and replace them. I will mention to, I think it will be helpful to the creator, that I wish we could drag. Can I drag? Oh, I can. Look at that. I'm so silly. I guess when I first tried to do it, it wouldn't let me drag. So let me say it again. You could just simply use the add feature. Add your new photo to each one. You can't do it in bulk add because each photo will be different. You could add it and then drag it to the front, each one of them. Okay, done. Make sure you hit apply. Make sure you hit sync. I won't do it because I obviously made some crazy changes I don't want to save. And that is it. Your sale pictures are done, right? If you have the last one, you want to hit delete, 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 delete that last one we mentioned, right? And move on. Pricing, same thing. You want to increase it by 20% because you decreased it by 20%. So that's one way. However, I happen to have variations. So you want to go straight to the variation one and change them back, okay? So that's really simple. You could do it the same way I actually did. You could start fresh and then have it all be changed, or you could go one by one. It's really up to you. Okay, remember, hit apply and hit sync. Okay, and that is it. You have started a sale and now ended a sale. I know that was really intense, but of course, you could take what I just said and not even be running a sale and use this in many different ways. Okay, let me run 2 more ideas by you to help you use Get Vela. The second idea is when you are making big changes, right? So here's an example. Imagine you had a color chart. And now, because the season has changed and there's more popular colors, gold is really cool right now, and this and that and whatever. But you want to add a few more colors to your color chart, or even a font chart, right? Remember, if you're in a customizable business, you should have a chart. You should have a chart of either fonts, colors, fabric choices, whatever. You should have options. If you do have options for the customer, you should show them in a chart. Sometimes you might have to add or take away, okay? Not a problem with Get Vela. You create the chart wherever you want to create it, Photoshop, Canva, wherever. And then when you go to photos, right over here, you could literally hit add. And when you add that new photo, right, it will add it to the end, which is usually where you find a color chart, okay? And of course, if you don't want to add it to the end, you could drag it like I showed you earlier, right? You see here, I dragged it over, okay? And that is it. So it's simple as that. You hit apply and you hit sync. All of a sudden, the color chart you created within moments is now in all your listings within moments, okay? Does it get simpler than that? I don't think so. So when you do big changes like color charts, this is a really great example. Other big changes you could do is variations. So you might have had a shop critique from me and I said, hey, these variations have to change. For example, I helped my sister with her variations, and to be honest with you, she kind of did it wrong. So I said to her, no, you have to go back, and this is how I want you to do it. Obviously, to optimize your shop to help with conversions, right? You want to give people choices to help with, let's say if they didn't want this item, but they wanted a different scent. You have to offer your scents in your variations, even if it's not a pricing variation, okay? So for me, I use ink color and envelope color. It helps, close a sale, as opposed to having the customer wonder, where do I put my ink and envelope color, right? So I will tell Dahlia or whoever is having this option, saying, okay, go ahead and go into your variations and change them all. Now, when you are in the beginning part of Get Vela, you are able to select the items that you want. So certain items could have different variations compared to others. Just keep that in mind. So select the ones that you want and change it in bulk, okay? So that's another thing. You can also use the variations part to click in and out of stock. You see how I just put that? I put them out of stock. This happened to me recently. We ran out of envelope color. We ran out of the orange envelope color. Honestly, it just slipped through our hands. We didn't reorder in time for the orange. So my husband, before Get Vela came around, had to manually go in and remove all of the, we call it poppy envelope colors. And, you know, that's his task. He's the assistant. So I didn't have to do it, but I had to make him do it. And you might not have an assistant to do it for you. So using this bulk editing tool is really helpful. Another thing that I used it for not too long ago, well, actually, let me repeat that. I wish I had it. I had my husband add my graphic for my mailing list. Really great idea, right? I always talk about mailing lists and getting people on your email list. So having a graphic that you created to tell people, hey, save 15% off or whatever on your next purchase by joining my email list is a great graphic to add to the end of your photos. Okay? So again, big changes. You have a big change you want to make and you want to add it in there. Okay, you could use this editing program for that. And of course, there's many other things you could use it for when it comes to big changes. The last tip I want to give you before I end this video is fixing listings in general. So a lot of times I find that I might do a Facebook Live in my group, or I do a shop critique and I tell Sally or whoever, what other Etsy seller is saying, hey, these have to happen. This change has to happen. And she's writing all these changes down that she has to do, regardless if it came from me or from her own thoughts. And she's like, wow, this is a lot to do. Simply, you could use this for big changes. So if I told Sally, hey, you have to add a color chart, how are people going to know what to choose from? Okay. And of course, having a color chart helps if you have the variations to match it, which I do. So I needed to go through all her listings and add them. And again, I happened to my sister, but it happened to somebody else, one of my members, who I told after I seen the variations that she put in there. And I said, I won't say her name, but I was like, Sally, you did this, but this is why I want you to do it differently. In her case, she actually added her variations, but it was in her best interest to go back, to go back after she added them and reorganize them. Let me explain. When she added them in just random order, right? But it was colors. I said to her, I need you to add them in alphabetical order, and I explained to her why. I explained to her how the customer thinks, okay? So when they see the color chart, and the color chart, she saw, she's like, oh, I like this pink color, and the pink color is called Blossom. How's she gonna look for Blossom? She's gonna look around like this? No, she's gonna look for the letter B, and B alphabetically is on the top. She's gonna look at the top of her variation. So I told her, alphabetize them. And of course, this is way before Get Vela. And she was like, oh, I said, believe me, it's going to help you tremendously. You don't want to frustrate your customers. So even after you do a change and I tell you, you have to fix that. And this is why this helps with fixing listings, changing photos, right? We have to always change our photos to make sure we're doing bigger, better things. I might tell you that your photos suck, work on this. You have to change them all. This helps with that. And I could give you many other examples, but these are just a few. So just to wrap this up, we went over 3 major topics. One, the biggest topic, setting up a sale. We showed you how to set one up and how to take it down, right? This is a great tool for people to use. And then we're talking about fixing listings. You might think of things that you have to change and bulk edit it to all your listings. I gave you a few examples. I'm sure you could think of more. And the last thing was some big changes. You're changing a color chart. You're like, oh man, I have to change a color chart, I have to add it to all my listings. Super simple with this, okay? And of course, there's many other ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this video on how to use Get Vela. I am 100% sure there are many more ideas and ways, and I encourage you, as you think of the ideas and actually use those ideas, to comment down below and let me know, what are you using it for, all right? Not just so I know, right? Because I'm also a seller, it could help me, but to help your peers. They might say, oh, fantastic idea. I want to use it for that, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy. Bye.